Welcome to the Homeschool Together podcast. Where one working mom and a stay-at-home dad help you navigate the nuts and bolts of the growing and dynamic world of homeschooling.
With a focus on early learners, like me.
All the ins and outs of building and maintaining your homeschool life.
Homeschool.
Find out tips and tricks to make things like this easier.
I'm reading.
And ultimately, enjoy educating your kids. And what's that last thing?
Have fun together. Did I do good, Daddy?
Yeah, you did, sweetie. Good job. Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together. Thanks so much for joining us. If you have a chance to support the podcast, go over to iTunes and leave us a nice review. Or if you find it in your heart of hearts, to share it with a family or friends or a stranger on the street or that lady who's trying to wrangle her kids in the in the shopping line. Tell her about our podcast.
Yeah, or send us a note. We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, we love hearing from you guys. We do.
It makes us feel good.
Yeah, go like one of Ariel's posts on Instagram.
Oh, don't push them to Instagram. I have been so bad about Instagram, y'all. Right. I had this really great intentions of keeping everything up and being like, oh, I'm on Instagram. We have the Facebook group.
Yeah,
and I've been so busy.
We have been so busy.
But, we appreciate all your well wishes.
Well, the important thing is to know that Ariel and I are right now in Rivendell. We're all staring at each other. And I'm going to take the ring to Mordor tomorrow. We're potty training the 3-year-old.
She's not quite 3 yet.
I will take the ring to Mordor.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think this is a divide and conquer method. Our older daughter has a soccer game and we have a play we're going to go see. Yep. And maybe that's for the best because then you can focus on that little one and keeping her going every 15, 20 minutes.
72-hour method, or right now our youngest is humming Elsa songs. She's the magic is coming, and she's going to become a big girl tomorrow. We threw away all her diapers, and she bought her little undies and all that stuff. So.
It worked with our older daughter. We did this big thing with she was going to change into a big girl overnight. She came into our bedroom.
It worked with her. Of course it's going to work with
She came into our bedroom the next morning, and we were like, who is this? We don't even recognize you. You're so big now. And she
Are you our child?
She bought it like hook, line, and sinker.
Oh,
and then, from that, time on, she used the potty. So, think good thoughts for us.
We're going with
when you hear this episode, it will already be over. So, think retroactive good thoughts.
Yeah. Message us on Facebook and see how it went.
Yeah,
it's gonna look like that scene from I think Community, where it's the meme where his rapper name is Childish Gambino. What's the
Donald Glover?
Is that his name? Yeah, the Atlanta show.
Yeah.
He played in Lando and Solo.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's where he walks in and he's got the pizzas and he walks into the room and everything's on fire. That's how I feel like tomorrow's gonna go.
Well, gosh, I hope not.
Nothing to see here. Anyway, we're losing time. Today is like that sequel that you never knew you wanted, but you wanted. It's sort of like when you saw the trailer to the new Top Gun. And you're like, wait a minute, he's 50. But they're flying real airplanes. I can't wait. We did an episode last year about homeschooling through the summer. And today we're going to actually go through a little bit of what we did in that episode, but also we're going to talk about a lot of new ideas that we kind of came up with.
We're evolving, y'all.
We are, as we grow up and mature and become wise podcasters and wise parents and wise homeschoolers.
Oh boy, that was a lot of throat clearing there.
There's a lot of throat clearing. We have new ideas and new things.
We want to share them with you. Now's the time we're all kind of getting geared up for summer.
Exactly.
Even we are starting our summer planning. So
especially the people who are listening in the Wayback Machine. It's May. Yeah, it's like the middle of May, so we're getting geared up for the summer.
Yeah, that's right. And we're actually going to do 2 episodes. So this episode, we're going to give a bunch of, we'll do a very brief recap of the previous show about some highlights of ideas. Then we're going to have a whole host of new ideas to help fill your summer with fun and education. And then next week, we're going to have a podcast about what we plan to do this summer. It's just too much to cover. It's too much fun to have to be had in just one episode. So we're going to split it up.
And we're jabber monkeys. We could talk a lot.
We are, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we don't get to talk very much anymore because our children are getting in between us. It's sort of like sort of like the dog when it bothers you. It's time to feed me.
Yeah.
Right. But imagine that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, my parents are talking. They're not talking to me. All right, fine.
Yeah.
What about this new Elsa? What about this new TV show? Yes, it's Odd Squad. I know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's our podcast. I guess we get to talk as much as
Yeah.
we want.
Absolutely. So let's go into what we did last summer. A little bit about that. The homeschooling through the summer. We had a lot of ideas around there, and the first thing that we kind of did was identify the priorities that you have that you want to keep going on. For us, we've always talked
If everything
about,
else goes out the window.
Yeah, we've always talked about how we like to homeschool all year round. It gives a lot more time, a lot more freedom. So that we don't feel as rushed during the normal year. But a lot of times you may want to think about, okay, well, I can't do everything I'm normally doing because there's always going to be so much going on in the summer. You may just want to limit it to the priorities you want, the math and the reading, kind of that common core type of.
Well, whatever
mentality.
it is that maybe you don't want to lose ground, or maybe you've just broken through and you've got some really great momentum. So, think about if nothing else happens this whole summer, what am I going to be happy that I got done? Whatever that is.
Yeah, losing that valuable ground. I've made so much progress this year, and I've worked so hard with my oldest on reading and math and everything. I cannot I couldn't bring it in my heart to stop in 6 weeks and say, okay, we're not going to do anything for 3 months. It's just I would feel like I'm giving up so much ground. I couldn't afford to do that.
Yeah, and your mileage may vary, whatever it
exactly.
is for your family. But really, the point of this is at the end of the summer, you don't want to sit there and be like, oh man, what we wasted all this time, or we're so far behind. Just come up with the things that are going to make you feel good at the end. If nothing else happened, at least these happened. So priorities.
Yeah, and the next thing that we talked about is, trying new stuff, new unit studies, doing deep dives into, some interests. So you may break for the summer and you may want to start trying something that the student's interested in. You may ask them, hey, are you interested in dinosaurs now? Or are you're interested in pirates or whatever? Whatever that interest is, maybe you can find a unit study and deep dive into it.
Yeah, it's a great time to have a break from, your normal routine and your normal curriculum. If you wanted to give unit studies a try this summer, it's a fantastic time to do that. They're short. You can usually make them as short or long as you want. A lot of the unit studies, especially something like Build Your Library, has a lot of unit studies. Blossom and Root have unit studies. There's tons of great unit studies out there. They'll all say 3 to 5 weeks or 4 to 6. You can kind of make them what you want them to be. Yeah. You can also make your own unit studies. You don't need to buy one. You could definitely, go out and make something if your kid's super interested in something very niche-y, or you just don't, want to spend something. You want to make your own. Mm-hmm. That you can totally do that too. But summer is a great time for unit studies. It's a very low pressure way to get in some cool learning. Yeah,
and we have a sample size of our homeschool journeys of 25, 30 now. And we just know that everybody's eclectic homeschoolers. There's nobody who just, does.
Well, nobody we've talked to anyway.
Yeah, everybody's eclectic. So we know all of you are out there just picking and choosing unit studies all day long and small curriculum.
But sometimes it's you have some real plans. This school year, I want to get all these things accomplished. It's kind of nice during the summer to be let's do a unit study.
Yeah. The next idea is leaning into the thing that Ariel loves to do and we love to do, and that's game schooling. Ariel, tell them about your afternoon.
Yeah, no, I think we played 11 games this afternoon. We were just ripping through games.
She
wanted
game school heater.
She wanted a whole
fastball up in the
afternoon of games. And when we played, she had to do all the scores, so she did so much math. And then we were reading the names of characters. We were playing the Dinosaur Tea Party, and she had to read all the names of the characters. And we played Outfox, and she had to read the names of the suspects. And so she was reading. She was doing math. She was doing logic and deduction. There was so much learning there, and it was a whole afternoon of games. So if you haven't gotten a chance to really get into games, or you can game school through the summer, I think that's a really fun option.
No, I absolutely agree. Next thing that we talked about before, and we'll make sure to link this podcast in the show notes.
So you can listen to the whole thing.
You listen to the whole thing. We're just kind of doing a short recap. Changing up things that aren't working. Sometimes people may have curriculums may not be firing on all cylinders, or they may not, be enjoying a certain topic or a certain type of, task that you're doing. You may want to try to change it up. It might be a great time to do that. We talked about some people potentially testing out new curriculums or new methodologies. You may be a classic school, classical education style, and you may want to try more of a Charlotte Mason thing, or maybe you want to try unschooling for the summer, or you might want to try more of an eclectic homeschooling because you just do a normal box curriculum all year long. trying up new things is a great time for that.
It's a low impact time to do it.
Yeah, and it's a low risk as well.
Exactly. So especially I find that, we've stuck with something for the whole school year because I bought this and we're going to stick it out, right?
I have capital in this.
Yeah. I don't know. We're so invested. The summer is a great time. If you feel like maybe that's not working out as well as it could, summer is a great time to try new things.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, in the summer, we're making trips. We're going on family trips.
Especially this year.
Especially this year. My God, everyth's opened up. It's a great time for you to get out on the road, drive to that local park, doing some road schooling, doing a lot of camping. I know a lot of us will be doing that because, hotels are expensive, woman.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wherever you're going.
Camping is cheap and a lot of us camp and going places and doing road
or,
schooling.
Whatever vacation you're going to go on as a family, there's something educational to be learned everywhere you go. So, there's some ideas in the last podcast, but really just talking about, being thoughtful about where you're traveling and what your children could learn while they're there or before going, and they could study about it and then go.
Absolutely. And, a lot of homeschoolers may be just coming out of the pandemic and they're even if you're thinking about putting your kid back into the public school or going to the parent partnership or going to a private school, you have a chance to spend the summer still homeschooling.
Yeah, every summer is a homeschool opportunity.
Is an opportunity to homeschool. And you may be one of these kind of a hybrid where you're doing homeschool in the summer and then you're doing regular school in the fall and the spring. So you never know, right? Like whatever is fitting into your family doesn't mean you have to stop homeschooling.
Right. Absolutely.
And then edu-parenting.
Yeah, eduparenting. Daniel Dabbs from Board Game Babies. We just Daniel love this. We love this term. So anything that you're doing, whatever it is throughout the summer, whether you're getting together with family, you're doing barbecues, you're doing a lot of cooking. I know our girls are going to be. Our daughter's really into cooking, so she's wanting to learn that. Whether you're in the pool in the backyard, just keeping that mind out for education through your normal day-to-day life. Where sometimes I think that as much as we're homeschoolers, through the year, we kind of, I know I do, lean on the curriculum, that we got, and we don't necessarily need to look for other opportunities to make everything educational because a lot of our day already is. But during the summer, if it's not that way, then you have to kind of keep your eyes peeled for places that you can add education in.
Yeah,
I mean, I love the idea.
I love that idea of like what you said of like leaning on the curriculum. I do feel like I lean on the curriculums a lot, and when I'm not doing the curriculums, I'm like, okay, I get kind of spacey, right? But you're right. Choose education. Choose.
Yeah, I'd love to say that there is something to learn everywhere, and I would love to say that during the school year, when we're doing a bunch of curriculums and we're going to our parent partnership, that we were thinking about education all the time, even on the weekends. But there's a lot of it's like
some of us are just trying to survive.
We're
just trying to survive.
we already do so much learning. So much of our day is already educational based that. It's not the first thing that always comes to my mind because I feel like sometimes I just want to do something that's just fun. But in the summer, if you have less going on, just keep an eye out for how can you seek education out in all of the normal day-to-day things or cool opportunities you might have during the summer.
And a lot of education can come through added responsibility. This is something that we've been doing with our older one a little bit more, is giving, articulating to her that as she gets a little bit older, and as she gets to do new fun things, the responsibility kind of naturally comes with that. And, being able to do new activities like, cooking or maybe gardening or whatever it might be, you can expand the responsibility, and in there builds more education, life skills and life experiences and responsibility. Yeah. I think that fits right into that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So let's get a little bit into some new ideas. One of our favorite things was, and I think we've mentioned it a few times, is doing kind of a dinner and a movie. And we really like taking media because we're kind of awash in media all the time. We have so many great television shows. We're kind of in this golden era of TV and streaming and movies and content and books. We just have so much of it, and there's just so much high quality stuff. Really leaning into kind of this, media driven moments where it's like a book, some movies,
maybe
TV
you want
shows.
to dive into a book series, and there's 8 books in the series, and when are you ever going to get the chance to read through them all as a family? And then maybe you watch the movies that go with them, or a TV show. You can compare, you can contrast. You could do a unit study around the book series. You could have your kids write some fan fiction, alternate endings, do art associated with it. Like if you could do Harry Potter all summer. You could do all
Star
the books,
Wars, or
do
anything.
Percy Jackson,
Percy Jackson.
I mean, You could really dive into, not just a plethora of books at the library, which I think a lot of us do during the summer. And libraries often have like reading challenges during the summer too that, you can do. And then there's some sort of a prize at the end for the kids. Not just doing a plethora of books, but, really doing like, we're going to do this whole series.
Yeah, sometimes we talk, we hear people talk about knowledge being, this person knows a lot about a little bit about a lot of stuff. They have kind of a shallow, but it's very broad. And then sometimes we have another style of learning, which is like deep dives, where maybe I don't learn a lot about a lot of things, but I can do a deep dive on a certain subject. And I like that idea of, okay, we're going to read the whole series of this book and we're just going to focus on it. We're going to talk about the characters. We're going to see how things arc and change and the morals and values as it moves through. And it's like, there's a continuity in that, which creates this, depth that you can share with with your learner, whatever it might be. Like if you wanted to hit all the Harry Potters in the summer, or if you wanted to, watch a bunch of TV shows, like maybe you guys are really into cars, your family, and you want to watch all the Fast and the Furious movies or whatever it might be, right? Doing kind of a fun deep dive like that would be just, I think, very, engrossing, right? And fulfilling and in its totality.
Yeah, you could even study film about a certain time period,
or like what you're doing with the musicals.
Yeah, we're doing kind of a musical study. I guess we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in like another podcast. But, going deep into a certain subject where something that maybe you can share with your learner if you really like something.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to watch some old TV shows that you used to watch as a kid. Whatever it might be.
Yeah, learn about different time periods and
absolutely.
Culture. So lots of ideas there.
Next, when you are trying different curriculums, we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier in the roundup from the previous episode, trying new things and stuff. You do have the ability to go out there and do curriculums and try the samples. Most curriculums nowadays will offer you a couple lessons.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really easy. You'll be able to download, like I mean, thinking off the top of my head, like Real Science Odyssey, you can get the first couple lessons of that. And there's a lot of other ones. And you go on and whatever it's the try a sample, you could do each week, do a different try a sample.
Absolutely.
If you're undecided about exactly what you want to do, you want to get an idea of how different curriculums teach things, go through and do some fun things. It's what we called in the last episode. It's like homeschooling R&D.
Yeah.
It's the time to test things because there's just there's no expectations for the summer.
Yeah, really take advantage, and especially if something that you may want to add in as a normal thing, like a science curriculum. You may want to test some science curriculums and see if you can find one that your learner likes without having the full commitment of saying, okay, this is the one. Right. Before you put any money down.
It's also a good time to, depending on the age of your children, if your children are older, to sit down with them and look at all of the curriculum options for the next year and really take the time that we don't normally have during the school year to look at what the possibilities are and see what your learner thinks might be the most interesting. We also, this is a great time to borrow from a friend when they're not using their curriculum. We did that with a friend of ours. She was interested in, she was doing Explode the Code and she was interested in all about reading.
That's funny. Now we're doing Explode the Code. Yeah, She's doing all about
We'll talk about that in an upcoming show. But, it was a great opportunity for us to say, hey, we'll go ahead and lend you our materials, because we're on a break right now with this particular curriculum. You can take a look at it. That's a good thing to do during the summer too. Get together with some of your homeschool friends and do some curriculum shopping on your
exchange. Yeah.
Yeah. Do some curriculum shopping with your friends at your friends' homes, or your local co-op, and see what you can borrow and give it a try. So you've got lots of options there when it comes to figuring out exactly what you want to do next year. I know a lot of people feel pressure when the spring sales happen, and that's April. We just went through a big spring sales session. Everyone feels pressure to buy things right then, but there will be sales again before the start of the school year, and you really don't have to make your decisions before summer begins. You can take your time during the summer to figure out exactly what you want to do.
Talking about community, when we're sharing with curriculums and doing kind of an exchange, there's a lot of activities that you can do outside the home with camps. Now, one of the big problems with camps, summer camps, is that you're competing with, the whole public school system.
Right. And those parents really need those camps for that child care.
So there may be like limited seating, and it may be, already full up, or you may have to get on a wait list or something of that nature. But there are a lot of camps out there. They cover a lot of different concepts, whether from animals to STEM to reading, outdoor stuff. I mean, whatever it might be.
Yeah, there's so many camps. I kind of am amazed getting into this world and really just hearing about it from other parents, mostly public school parents that
we're
we
like
know.
walking up and down the street and they're talking about camps. What camps are you in? What camps are you in?
Yeah, everyone's doing camps. And it's what I think is interesting about it is that you can really hone in on anything that your kid is really interested in. There's likely some sort of a day camp for that thing.
And these camps tend to last a couple days a week, maybe a whole week.
Yeah, usually they're about a week. If your kid's super into really wants to try, anime drawing, there's probably a camp for that. If your kid's wants to try out archery, this is a great time to try a new sport or something, is to go to a camp for that, assuming it's not a really rigorous camp that's meant for folks that have a lot of experience already. But it's a good opportunity. The thing about camps, as you said, is you do have to be really on the ball with those. You have to sign up pretty early. There's still camp signups going on right now, so you're not too late necessarily for all of them, but just be aware that you are competing, and they tend to be pretty expensive. So the camps around here can be anywhere from $175 to $250 a week, depending on what it is.
That can be very pricey.
Yeah, they really can, but they can give some opportunities for your kids to have something really enriching. This year, we're not going to do any camps because our youngest is too young for the camps in this area. And so, we won't do it this year, but maybe next year I could think of us maybe saying, okay, each of you can do a couple camps during the summer.
There's also summer preschools as well. We have that as well. I remember I used to do a lot of basketball camps. I used to go to a lot of basketball camps every summer, and they would be like 1 or 2 weeks. They would go to like a local college, and even up to high school as well. They had basketball camps that I used to go to in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options in the summer. There's a lot of fun things that are meant for those public school students that are now off. You're going to find museum days and special zoo things, and I mean, there's going to be all kinds of things. So I guess don't turn your back on resources that are available to public schoolers. If you have a local parent newsletter in your area, things that are sent out by Facebook group for the local school district, that's a really helpful one. We happen to be in that because we're in the parent partnership, but I could see just that being helpful to know what's going on in your local community as far as summer options go, because they're available to us as well. So, and you can check to your local public schools. A lot of times they actually host some of the camps. So there's Boys and Girls Club. And so camps is a huge subject.
YMCA as well.
Yeah. We haven't gotten super into camps ourselves, but everyone we know uses camps. So, whatever you could be interested in, there's a camp for that.
Well, there's Daddy Camp. It's all summer long. Yeah, right. Next is kind of a big topic, and depending on where you are in your homeschool and where your learner is, you can look either forward or you can look backward and think about ways to review and mastery or excelling in whatever you're doing. So the first thing you could do is look back and say, okay, what did we accomplish over this year? What were the math gains? What were the reading gains? What were those science gains? And are there any, deficits that you need to backfill for whatever reason? Maybe they, struggled a little bit on money, or they struggled a little bit on time, or whatever it is.
You got through it, but you don't feel that they really mastered it.
And this is a great time to spend that, as a little bit of a makeup time. You can use other curriculums. You can use kind of an eclectic nature. You pull, do kind of a piecemeal educational thing. Whatever it is that you feel would be a great thing for your learner to bone up on and really focus on. This is the time to do that. This is a great opportunity and a great period, even if you don't want to homeschool all summer long, but maybe you just say, the handwriting is really lacking. I really want the handwriting to get better. Let's go ahead and, do that.
Give it some focus.
Give it some really heavy focus, and maybe it's not super intense, but you're doing it every day. Whatever that might be, you can look backwards and say, okay, I'm going to try and improve where we were last year. And so by having this good improvement, it will carry us right into the fall. Right.
And you can help be more prepared, giving kids alternate ways to prove their mastery. So even if, there wasn't necessarily even a deficit, but you want them to feel really confident going into the next level of math or reading or whatever it is in the fall, you can really just seek out other sources so that they can get practice over and over again and feel really confident in themselves that they're ready to tackle the next one.
Confidence is a big thing, I think. Yeah, it's a big
yeah,
key.
it so is.
You know, you're always doing this educational stuff, but like, are they confident in what they're doing, and are they confident that they know that information forwards and backwards? Sometimes you don't feel that when you're doing when you're doing the pages, or you're doing the exercises, or you're doing the activities. You know your kid's getting it because they're progressing, and they're doing well in these little test exams and things like that. We're doing the math mammoth. I feel like she's really getting it, but there's a few things I'm like, she didn't really get that, and that might be a good moment to say, okay, I'm going to reiterate this summer.
Yeah, well, and I think that all of these curriculums that you do, right? They teach a subject, they give a little bit of opportunity to practice, and then they do some sort of assessment, or you do an assessment, and then you move on to the next topic. You don't really dwell very long on that subject. So there's this balance between challenge and mastery. You want to challenge your student enough that it keeps things interesting, but you also want to give them an opportunity to really revel in their mastery. And I don't think that a lot of time we have the time and space in a normal curriculum to do that. So this is a good time.
It's hard to fit that into your day-to-day.
How do you fit that in?
Like, let's get the homework done. Like this week, we were off school all week, and it's like, okay, let's do this. Let's get the homework done. Let's get the homeschool done early. We're done, and then boom, let's go off to the YMCA, and we can go do some play zone. Daddy can get a workout and everything. You're in the rush, and then when they get out of that, you go, okay, we got to get home. We got to get some lunch into us, and then younger sister's got to go down, and then we're gonna do some Lego and some games and blah blah. Like, you're not thinking about that on the day-to-day. Micro details is my child mastering this subject? It's like, because you've got things to do, and you got activities.
You got things to move through.
Oh yeah, I got to get to soccer at 5:30 today. We're not thinking about that, and this is a good time for you to sit down and go, okay, I don't know if they truly know this. Maybe it's something we
Maybe look back through what you've done during the year, flip through that curriculum, and really think about areas that either you feel like they don't know it as well, or that they don't feel confident in. Mm-hmm. So the only downside to this is your learner could get bored. Yeah. So because they have already covered this ground. So just be cautious. I think this is one where you need to be
finesse.
Yeah, and maybe be careful about the materials that you use. Mm-hmm. If you know, for instance, that your learner is really visual, you might want to pick up like an Evan Moore book, or even a Scholastic or something with really bright colors, and
maybe some YouTube media. And
very
stuff like
engaging.
That. Yeah, something engaging, especially if you're going over it again.
Yeah, if you're going over it again, just make sure that it's, more exciting. This is another good opportunity too to maybe look into an online option that you could do. Oh, maybe I'm going to do this with Khan Academy Kids, or maybe I'm going to use Beast Academy or something else where maybe it's a reading eggs. It's like it's a game, but it's also reinforcing these concepts that we learned. It's something totally different that they would not normally get to do during the school year. That makes it seem kind of new. So just be watchful for your learning getting bogged down by having to do the same thing over again. But I think there could be a lot of value in getting that opportunity to review and show mastery.
Yeah, it's great to give them confidence going into the new year. So that's looking backwards, trying to improve going forwards. And the other way is, okay, my kid did really well this year, and I know we're going to be getting into this new stuff later this year. Maybe I want to start to preload some of that curriculum. Maybe I want to push a little bit of ahead.
Get a jump on that school year.
I want to get a jump on that school year. I want to get a jump on certain topics. Maybe get them warmed up. Maybe if you're starting like a nice, science curriculum or something like that, maybe you want to get them excited about science in some way. Or, we're going to be getting into, violin for this fall. Maybe I want to like start to do stuff now so that when they get into that class, or sewing. I know we're going to be having hopefully a sewing class for our daughter this year. Maybe we do a little bit of sewing work so that when she walks in to the class, she's not scared of, the first class. Right.
She feels like she's already got some familiarity with it.
Or maybe you want to start your math curriculum early for this year and say, okay, he or she is ready. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Why wait?
Yeah. And, this is really great, especially if you expect yourself to be extra busy during the year. If you have one of these full schedules with lots of activities, which I think a lot of us tend to. It's hard coming out of the pandemic because so much was canceled. People are just revving back up. But traditionally, homeschoolers are very, very busy because we have time to be in all kinds of classes. So
it's time for us to start showing our true colors again.
Right. So maybe this is a good opportunity
Yeah.
for you to say, gosh, every year we try to get through this whole math curriculum and we can never finish it all in a year, right? In the normal
Just
quote
checking
unquote
stuff
school
out
year.
at the end, yeah.
And so, maybe this is the time where you're like, we're just going to bank some of these lessons and have a little bit of this done, maybe at a slower pace over the summer, so that we're going to start maybe a quarter way into that curriculum instead, and know that we're going to finish it, on the schedule you've set for yourself.
But I also like the idea that you said something's coming up in the future, whether it's, an event, maybe you have a spouse who's going on a long trip out to, the North Slope of Alaska to do engineering work, and your husband's
That
not
was
going to be
weirdly specific.
was very oddly specific, because Ariel almost had to do that.
Yeah, I did.
You almost
for like
had
a
to-
month. I
for a
was
month.
almost going to go.
You almost got the short straw on that one. Or maybe something's happening. Maybe you guys are planning a move at the end of the year, and you're going to lose 2 months.
Or there's going to be a baby born.
Or there's a baby born. Or maybe your spouse is going to be deployed for a couple months, and you need to prepare for that, right? And you don't know what's coming up. This may be a good time to start to move out ahead.
Absolutely.
Right? That, whatever that is, it doesn't just have to be, golly gee whiz, I want Johnny to be graduating college at 12 years old. Sometimes life gets in the way, and we want to be able to move ahead on that.
And that's part of the joy
But also,
of being
I
able
want,
to
I
do
want
this.
Johnny to go to college as well.
This is part of the joy of doing this, is being able to be flexible with our lives and live our lives on our timetable and not another's. So I think this is a good part of it. The other thing you can do too is use that summer to catch up on something that you didn't finish. So we're talking about foreseeing that you're not going to finish. What about that thing you already didn't finish this year? This is great. And you can even accelerate. Maybe during the regular school year you do math 3 times a week and you didn't quite get through everything. Well, maybe in the summer, in the first few weeks of summer, you just do math every day and get that done.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about
You're
it.
not doing anything else, right?
Right. Yeah. All these commitments. It's funny, as homeschoolers, I mean, for us, definitely our schedule is going to slow down because the parent partnership is going to cease during the summer. But a lot of things stop during the summer. Our kids' dance classes stop during the summer.
Gymnastics will stop as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Things like that.
Like you just don't have anything going on after,
Right.
after June.
Yeah, we're doing spring soccer, we're doing a sport. Well, that's going to be ending for the summer. Yeah. So there's all kinds of things that even though we're not in the normal public school system, we are still peripherally affected by that. Mm-hmm. And it makes our summers less busy from a classes standpoint. Mm-hmm. We obviously have all kinds of other things that we're going to have going on because it's summer and the weather's gorgeous, or so they tell us. It's been a very wet spring.
It's been a very wet spring.
But yeah, you don't have as many classes and things. So maybe you just go ahead and go all in and really get this work done and talk to your kids and say, hey guys, let's really enjoy our summer. Let's work hard for the first, few weeks of summer, get all of this stuff done. And then we can really be off and give everybody a chance to recharge. I think that's part of the beauty of summer, even if you're a public school student, is that opportunity to recharge and then refocus back in the fall. So, with all of our suggestions, we're not advocating that you don't get that rest and recharge time.
Yeah.
More just that our kids are used to learning all the time with us at home. And now that things are going to be maybe a little bit different during the summer, what are some other ideas to keep that going? But I think that rest and recharge time is important.
Yeah. Don't let our jokiness, make you think that you have to do homeschool all year long.
Absolutely
we are very loosey goosey with our schedule sometimes.
Well, you'll hear next week about our summer schedule and what we plan to do.
Yeah, we're not super.
We're just trying to give you lots of ideas. One of these things might spark your interest and be like, oh man, that could really be a good fit for my family.
It's like just pick one. It's like maybe try one.
Please don't do all these things.
Speaking about picking one and doing a physical activity for the summer, this may be something where you want to have your learner, or your learner is excited about something coming up. This is a great time to get a lot of physical activity, whether it's hiking, whether it's trying out a new sport, finally learning a rollerblade, dusting off that unicycle, whatever it might be. I know that's what Ariel wants to do this summer, is learn to do the unicycle.
He's totally making that up, y'all. I am so accident prone. I'm not learning anything with one wheel.
We've already had one broken bone in this household. We don't need another one this year.
sometimes you just don't have the time to really put in the time you would need to master something. Like, oh, your kid really wants to get better at basketball this year so that they can be
Yeah, that's a
better
great
during the
point.
fall.
Improve my dribbling, or maybe I want to
Right.
improve my speed, or I want to improve my overhand serve, or I want to get out on the golf course and work on my short game.
Whatever it
Or I
is,
wanna,
you get time to like focus.
I want to play Frisbee golf or whatever it might be. Yeah, you're right. Like getting the physicality, because, a lot of us, it's sound mind, sound body. That was a great term that my high school always had. Because we really pushed athletics, we were a small school, but almost every kid had some activity that they were doing, some club, and it tended to be a physical oriented club where you're playing a sport or doing so we always talked about sound mind, sound body. And I really like that idea, and getting the kids into sports, getting them into activities where they're challenging themselves, not only physically, but also mentally. There's a lot of mental challenge when you're doing these kind of physical activities, whether it's learning to sustain yourself and the stamina, fighting through adversity, challenging yourself to become better when there is nobody there to push you. It's just you. That is an incredible skill to learn. And that was one that I learned playing golf so many years, is that nobody's there to tell you to be better. It's just you. And you're either going to challenge yourself to be better or not. And I think I love those type of like intrinsic motivation skills that come with physical activity and physical sports, and learning something, learning to put your body in to do a special skill, whatever it might be. It could be skateboarding, it could be BMX biking, it could be swimming, it could be paddle boarding on the lake, it could be sailing, it could be anything like that. But getting out and physically moving and learning that skill, I think, is just an incredible thing. And I think it pays forward into other things like education, like learning, like studying, because those skills kind of apply across the board.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, having that time to get into something that you might not otherwise have time to do, in a sports sense, and because the weather is good, it really allows you to get lots of practice days. Like, if you're golfing, you're going to get a lot of days. Especially
if sports are important to you. We know sports and extracurriculars are really important for colleges. They give a lot of opportunities to potentially play sports at the next level. And if our student really likes that type of stuff, I mean, we joked, I think, in a podcast a long time ago, there's a scholarship for fishing at Kansas State University.
Yeah,
right?
there's scholarships for all kinds of things.
There's scholarships for all types of things. So if your kiddo really enjoys doing something, there potentially might be a scholarship for it. And this is a great time, to push yourself when maybe nobody else is doing it.
Being ready for those fall tryouts. If you're at that level, your child wants to play at a higher level. We
try for AAU, and I know I need to compete for that spot.
Right.
I can't just get it because I paid the fee to get in, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and in talking about this time to focus, this is also a great time if you want to learn a new musical instrument, get into a certain type of art. If you're going to bring in a tutor and really great. Have that time to focus. Maybe your child really needs all that practice time, and during the year they're just too distracted by all the other classes and things they have going on. Now you can bring in a piano teacher or whatever it is, and they can really have that time.
I get to spend 3 hours making dance music with my digital music maker, or I get to practice my piano for 3 straight hours every single day, and nobody's going to bother me. And I can get that practice in. I love that idea, especially if it's a hobby or skill that your learner really wants. Maybe it's like drawing. I really like the idea of the art, because a lot of times art, especially if you have a really good drawer, or you want to get into the digital art, or you want to get into composition, different compositions, whether it's like charcoal or painting or whatever it might be, different mediums. You need the time on paper, you need the time on canvas, and those type of things don't just come naturally with like 1 hour a week in a class or an enrichment class. You really need to put the hours, the 10,000 hours in, as Gladwell pointed out, and putting in those hours, you need to put them in. And a great time to do it is being a homeschooler in the summer. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's totally true.
I love that idea.
Yeah, it's a great time to look towards that. And talking about putting time into something that you're really interested in, coming up with a project for the summer.
Oh yeah,
we've got a friend whose son is all about turbines. He wants to study turbines, and he wants to do a turbine-based water turbine project. and they're going to dive into it during the summer. And I think that's great. If your child has an interest, or you as a family want to do a project for the summer, maybe it's a home improvement. Maybe you're going to be
or something.
Building something in the backyard, or, working on your family garden together. We did garden schooling a few weeks back, and there's some great ideas there. Whatever it is, if your student wants to choose something that they can really focus all of their energy on, they can really deep dive into it.
One of my favorite things I did one summer was I got a motorcycle in high school. I'm not advising that for anybody, but it wasn't running, and I was trying to get it to run. And I spent the whole, a month, I got it was the Campbell's guide or whatever, the Haynes guide for it. And I was opening it up and cleaning out the carburetor and doing all these things. And I'll never forget, it was 2 a.m. and I got it to start. And I ran up to my parents' room. I'm oh my God, it's running. You guys got to come in. My parents are rubbing the sleep out of their eyes. It's 2 a.m. It's what are you doing, Matt? I'm oh, watch. I'm squirting fuel into the carburetor. I'm watch. And it just fires up. And I'm yeah, it's working.
Right.
I had a little Anakin moment there in the family. It's working. I still,
great opportunity.
I still remember that. It was so... I persevered when I thought I could never do it. And I think a project if you want to build a wind turbine out in the backyard, there's a lot of reward and self-confidence that comes with doing a big project like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got the time.
Yep.
So, we're talking about the backyard a little bit, talking about focusing on your health, your activity level. Maybe you want to grow your own food. Maybe you as a family want to change your activity level and increase that. This is a great time to look for new hobbies you all want to even do together. Maybe you want to take up stand-up paddleboarding, or you want to learn all the local hiking trails in your area. You want to learn them now so that the rest of the year you know where to go. Really get out your state park pass and visit them all. And this is a good time to really put health and activity as a priority, because the weather is going to be so great.
I absolutely agree. And a lot of times with health and activity, it's all about building good habits, and good habits need to be repeated over and over again. So if you're trying to get into that, it's a great time where you don't have much responsibility and you don't have many things to hold you up. And, going on a 3-mile hike every day, it's something you can do in the summer with your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, be careful in those southern climates. Maybe go in the morning. We're used in the Pacific Northwest to think it's like the most amazing time of year, but so for some of you in the South, it might be
smoky.
the hottest time of the year. So another idea we had was really taking this as a good reflective time to start doing some journaling. Maybe you want your kids to start keeping a journal, or writing to pen pals. There's lots of great ways to get pen pals for your homeschoolers. Maybe you want them to start keeping a nature journal. It's a good time to kind of say, it's not forever. It's just for the summer. Why don't you just keep a journal of this summer, or a scrapbook of this summer of all the things that we did, and then we can look back on it. It's another kind of project, but it's a bit more creative, and especially if you have a child who's hesitant to write.
Could be introspective as well.
Absolutely.
Kind of breeding that mindfulness, writing stories, especially if you have a young budding, writer who wants to do poetry or writing stories, or, dare I say, writing novels. It's a great time to dive into that when you have that freedom to create, that freedom to explore your mind, sitting out on the hammock out back and swinging and thinking of, what is this character going to do today? This type of thing. Writing poetry, things of that nature. It's a really great time to, just kind of dive into that, doing some meditation, mindfulness study, things of that nature, listening to thoughtful music. That can really bring somebody, a child who maybe is a little bit not as outgoing, maybe doesn't want to play sports, maybe doesn't want to do all this type of stuff, but, wants to work on, exploring the, the vastness of their own mind type of thing.
Yeah. That sounds very
Did
deep.
You like that? Vastness of the mind.
Yeah, that sounded deep.
The universe within the brain cells.
That sounded deeper than I was prepared for.
Well,
all right.
Are we going there?
We're going to keep going. All right.
The world is bigger between your ears.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
So summer is also you're so crazy. Summer is also a great time to focus on friendships and connection.
Oh, yes. I love this one.
This is a great time to get together with those friends you don't see often
or
enough.
Or you haven't seen.
Haven't seen because of the pandemic, but also just I have a friend, it's her birthday today, and I have not seen her in several months, and it's not because of the pandemic necessarily, but I'm just so busy. We're so busy. I have not gotten a chance to go have dinner with this good friend, and I feel bad. But summer is just such a great time to reconnect. We're going to go down and visit an old friend of ours this summer. That we haven't seen in a couple of years because of the pandemic. And it's like, this is a great reconnection time.
Oh, yeah.
You talked about fishing. That's a great time to, have parents and children connect. Maybe this is a great time to have, without other distractions, to have your child renew connection with a spouse that's not the primary homeschool parent. If dad or mom works full time, and usually you're so busy with activities, maybe this is a great time when they get home from work to, have them be able to spend this time and do, think of maybe some interesting connection opportunities. Maybe it's going fishing or doing an activity together. Maybe it's doing a sport or something together that, you can use this time when there are no other classes and other competing priorities to focus on connection. Reconnect with your friends, reconnect with your family over the summer.
Yeah, time to send Johnny out with Grandpa to go to, 5 baseball games in 5 days at 5 different parks.
Yeah.
Eating good food and stuff.
Whatever it is.
You haven't seen Grandpa in a couple of years, pandemic, let's go out and see him, that type of thing.
Right.
Destination experiences. I think it's one of the big things that I think we're going to be focusing on a lot of experiences because, things are things. We got stuff. We're trying to get rid of all our stuff. But doing things is fun, and having those great experiences and going to see things, I think, is a great thing. And doing that with other people that you care about is, I think, enriching.
Right. And what about those all day play dates, where you've got friends come over in the morning and the kids spend all day building a fort.
Especially with our younger ones, they maybe have never done that. Like, I'm going to drop you off at 8:00. And you're not coming home until 6.
Right. There's nothing else going on. They can spend that whole day building a fort, playing in a mud kitchen, having imaginative all day games. I remember times during the summer where I would spend all day at a friend's house and we got up to all kinds of hijinks, right? Because we had that extended time to play together, be bored together, find something to do together. It's just, there's some really magical time. And I feel like the rest of the year, play dates are always done in snippets. It's like, okay, well,
3 hours here.
Yeah,
hours
I'll
there,
drop them off until then. We'll pick them up later because I got to go to soccer and then, whatever. And people are busy. The summer is a time we could maybe relax a bit and do some more, open-ended time that doesn't have as many requirements.
Yep. Friendship deep dives. I absolutely agree.
That's right. So a couple parting things we want to talk about. Nature school, while it's great being outside, and maybe you don't have time all year to do a nature curriculum. We really tried to do the Blossom and Root nature curriculum this year and frankly ran out of time. But they have great nature-based curriculums. There's other great Waldorf-based curriculums you can find out there. Maybe this is the time to really explore your local space, do some nature journaling, go out, learn the trees in your area. You can do nature school at any time, but I feel like it's the thing that gets kind of backburnered. At least it does for us, because we have a lot of other things that we're working on, and between math and reading and science and art and social studies, history stuff.
And napping 3-year-olds.
Yeah. Nature sometimes, we go on a lot of walks, but do we actually study it? I think sometimes it gets shoved aside for higher priorities. So
a lot of our outdoor time tends to be destination things like, we're going to walk to the park, and then walk back from the park. And we don't stop along the way and say, pick leaves off of willow bushes and compare them, or
doing
look at the birds, or
doing leaf rubbings,
or digging up, digging in the soil and picking up worms and stuff.
Right. All of that kind of stuff. I think that the summer is a great time to, focus on the time, on the area around you. Should be fairly good weather. And, you can get out and really learn about your local area or wherever you end up going. If you end up doing some road schooling, you can do nature in that area. And the last idea was just unschooling. We've interviewed a lot of unschoolers on the show. So if you want to look back into the archive, we've got several interviews with unschooling families. Unschooling is that thing that I think it sounds like a really neat idea, but I don't know if I would want to really commit to it full time. The summer could be a great time for that, though. What if you just said, we're going to have an unschooling summer? Kids, you're going to do whatever you want to do every day. And you'll strew some things for them that might be interesting, or, ask them what they want to learn about, and you're all going to do that. Maybe you can, maybe try it on for size if it's something that you might be interested in doing long term. Or maybe if it's never going to be something for your family. I don't think it's ever going to be something for our family, but I could see us totally doing an unschooling summer and just being like, you know what, we're just going to do this. There's no other expectations on us. Let's just unschool. Or for even a month of the summer, let's just unschool.
You're right.
Yeah.
Never know. You never know what works. Clicks.
That's right. So anyway, listen to those episodes of Unschooling. Might be something you might be interested in, and maybe give it a try for the summer. Let us know how it goes.
Absolutely. So hopefully this episode helped you maybe develop some new ideas, maybe something in here, one or two little things, kind of sparked your interest and might propel you into a fruitful summer. Go back and listen to the earlier episode around, kind of that summer schooling idea. We'll have that linked in the show notes below, as well as everything else we talked about today. Hopefully that helps you plan out a really fun summer for you and your family. And
let us know if we have not covered an option. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, space school. That's
space
coming.
camp.
That's coming.
I always wanted to go to space camp.
Space school. Yeah, we're going to Mars.
Space camp would have been amazing.
That would have been pretty cool. I lived by the Space Center. Kidding.
Yeah, I never got to go, but I always dreamed. There was that movie in the 80s, right?
I worked at Kennedy.
Yeah.
I worked at the ONC building where they assembled a payload for the shuttle. I could see the VAB out the window.
That's pretty cool, Booza.
That was pretty darn cool. 2 summers there. That was awesome. Anyway, hopefully this helped you. Let's end it the way we always do, with something that we're into. We are into the Where's My Water app. If you have ever played this game, basically it's a puzzle game where there's a shark. No, not a shark.
It's a crocodile.
Crocodile. It's a big thing with teeth. Listen, right. I have an issue with animals that are larger than me. I'm a pretty big dude, right? I'm 6'6", 300. I'm a big dude. I have issues with animals that are bigger than me. So anything that's bigger than me, it's got big teeth, and it's all the same thing. Dangerous. So basically, it's a crocodile, and he's in a bathtub, and he desperately needs to take a bath. And what you have to do is get the water to him. And they have all these different, ways to do that. The water's being shot out of a cannon, or it's stuck up in a well, and you got to dig your way through. And there's always these puzzles. Sometimes there's plants there that will eat up all your water. Sometimes there's acid that if it even touches the water, all the water becomes acid, and you'll burn your little crocodile in his bathtub. Our daughter has been really playing this game. Right. Now, this is really showing me the intrinsic interest around young learners. The first few times she played it was kind of a little tough. She was having to figure it out and everything. It was really challenging. A couple more times I had to help her through some tough spots where she just couldn't figure it out. Man, that girl now she can sit there for an hour and she will solve these puzzles. And what's cool about the puzzles is it's not just like what is on the screen. Sometimes these puzzles can scroll. Like she'll have to scroll the screen and figure out the puzzle. Like, okay,
she has to plan out what she's going to do before she does it.
I've got to get the water here. I've then got to drain the acid here, and then I've got to create a new path so the water goes there. And meanwhile, you have these little mileposts. I call them, they're little rubber duckies. Mm-hmm. And if the water touches the rubber ducky, it fills it up like a bathtub, and then it pops, and you have earned that rubber ducky. And so along the way, there are these rubber ducky mileposts where you get extra points, and it adds to your star rating at the end of the game. It's just more challenge. It just makes it more challenging. She does really well at this.
Yeah, she's committed to getting the rubber duckies.
She's committed to getting the rubber duckies, and she's committed to getting that crocodile his bath.
Swampy. His name is Swampy.
Swampy. All right. So I'm screwing up all the names. But anyway, she'll sit there, and what's funny about it is she turns the audio off in the settings, so she doesn't have to listen to there's music and stuff that plays. So she can listen to her audiobooks on YouTube, on the iPad, while she's playing, Where's My Water? And she's solving these puzzles while listening to this audiobook. It's very stimulating. It's kind of her new kind of quiet time. She kind of goes now between playing Legos and doing the iPad game. And she loves it. She'll sit there for an hour and really thoughtfully do these challenges. She'll fail. She'll replay the level. She'll try it again. She'll try it again. She'll try it again. Because I showed her a few times, okay, if you don't get it, you just hit replay, and it resets it, and you can try it again. Man, her problem solving skills are just like going through the roof on this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When I was playing games with her earlier today, I was like, wow, she's really was figuring things out.
Yeah, she's actually thinking about, achieving the goal.
Yeah, it's a really great logic puzzle game. There are some, I believe there is ability for like in-app purchases in that one.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you turn that off in your settings if you have like an iPad. It's a Disney game, so there's nothing else bad in there or anything. But I think there is opportunity maybe for in-app purchases.
Mm-hmm.
So just be cautious about that.
So
but we really like it.
Where's My Water app game,
and there's a Where's My Water and Where's My Water 2. So if I don't know if our daughter is ever going to get that far, but yeah.
Yep. So anyway, we'll link that in the show notes below. If you haven't tried it, try it. It's a kind of an older game, so hopefully you've heard about it. Try it out. Do some puzzles. It's actually very cute, nice graphics, and very fun to do. So Where's My Water?
Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time.
Happy homeschooling!